So Christian is one of us. He's a job hacker. He's been taking what we've been talking about, and he's been taking the thinking and the approach and the mindset and everything and applying it to everyday life. And I think that's wonderful. So I'm looking forward to hearing it. So I'm going to shut up in a second. I'm going to let Christian take over. And when he's done, we'll break out into break rooms and we'll do some networking. And then we'll call it an evening. So Christian, all yours.
Cool. Thanks, Larry. And it's great to be on this call, Zoom, with all of you. I know some of you I don't. But if you're new to the Job Hackers, like Larry said, it's a wonderful community to be a part of. And I'm happy, to have gone through the program and now have been, applying the things that I've learned to my own life. And, what I'm going to be sharing with you today is kind of the manifestation of some of that towards personal development, which is an area of life that's important to me. So I've titled this conversation, Living Agile. So how product development frameworks can improve personal development performance. So before I begin, I just want to make sure everyone sees the screen. No issues? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Well, let's get to it. So my name is Christian Martin. Oh, come on, next slide. There we go. My name is Christian Martin. So a little bit of background about me. I have degrees in international business and sport management. And for about the past 10 years, I've worked with sports startups and doing roles in general management, project management, and operations. And it was earlier this year that I finished the Job Hackers MBA program. And now I am an agile coach and sports tech consultant at my own consultancy firm here in San Francisco. So that's a little bit about me. So now about the presentation. So what is personal development? I think since this is one of the two topics we'll be looking at, let's first define it. And there are many ways to put personal development in a box, but I would just summarize and say it is some sort of improving your skills and qualities for the achievement of some sort of goal. So what are some examples? Maybe you have a fitness goal. Maybe you want to be able to run a marathon. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds. This could be one example of personal development. Maybe you want to be a knowledge expert in your field. Maybe you want to learn how to be a product manager, right? This could be another area that you could develop yourself. Or maybe you want to pick up the guitar and learn how to play a few songs. So just a few examples there of how personal development exists in your own life. And another thing to add about personal development, it's a lifelong process. There's always more levels of mastery to go with what you're pursuing. So why is personal development important? We're talking about it, but who cares, right? So I'm going to start here with the are at the base of human needs, psychological needs. And so, physiological needs. And so these are things like food, shelter, sleep, etc. And as we start moving up the scale from those physiological needs, we start reaching the more abstract and existential needs of being human, such as self-actualization, which is the desire to become the most that one can be. And this is where personal development is at its core. But there's a problem. Personal development is challenging, right? And so I want to open it up to you all for an exercise. So in a word or a phrase, why is personal development challenging? And feel free to post your response in the chat. So let's get a few answers here. Here we go. All right, so I'm getting some examples here. Breaking established habits are hard. Overcoming procrastination. Not prioritizing your own needs by definition. Cool. So we're getting a lot of different feedback here on this. So let me dive back in. So we're getting tons of responses, and to simplify things, I'm just going to kind of place everyone's responses into some sort of buckets. So personal development is challenging because it's complicated, right? There's many interrelated parts that have to come together to make your certain goal be accomplished, right? So that's one part. Second part, you have limited time, resources, and capabilities. So there's 24 hours in a day, you only have certain tools or money accessible, and you only have a certain amount of knowledge or skills at this moment. Thirdly, the environment is always changing, right? How is reaching your personal goals before COVID compared to now with COVID? How has that changed things? And lastly, it is a never-ending process, as discussed earlier. So now that we covered personal development, we're going to talk about product development. So first of all, what is product development? It can be described in many ways, but more or less, it is the journey of creating a product from ideation to release. And I've got the simplified diagram here. So basically, it starts with ideation, and then you move through a screening process of those ideas. You'll develop the concept, do a business analysis, do some testing, start to implement it, and then commercialize it, right? And then once it's out on the market, you'll get some feedback and you'll start developing on it, right? So it is the journey of the creation of the product, and there we go. And it's a never-ending process, right? Just like personal development. There's always more work to be done on your product to improve it and make it better. There we go. So now, in a word or a phrase, for those of you who are familiar with the product development environment, type in the chat, why is product development challenging? So go ahead and start typing in those answers. Multiple stakeholders, unknown territory, changing needs in the environment, discipline, fluctuating needs, it's complex, time constraints. There we go. We're getting a lot of good ones in here. Cool. So thanks for everyone for participating there. So kind of with the last theme with personal development, with product development, I'm going to kind of boil down these responses into a few buckets. So first, product development. It's complicated, right? As you guys all listed out there, there's many different parts that have to work together in order to achieve your goal with the product. Secondly, you have limited time, limited resources, limited capabilities. You only have a certain amount of people that are working together. They all have a certain amount of hours in their day, certain capabilities, and certain resources available to them. The environment is also changing. Like we mentioned earlier with COVID, you know, Zoom seems to be the product that is highly adaptable to this new environment that we're now living in. So how does the COVID-19 situation now affect your product? And lastly, it never ends, right? With a product like Zoom, they have to work on and boosting up their security and making sure they have enough bandwidth to support more users on it, right? So the point here in comparing product development and personal development is when I looked at these two, I noticed something, and maybe you will too. So that's what we're going to move into here next. All right, I have a little video. Let's see if it works.
We're not so different, you and I.
All right, so hopefully you're able to hear that, but that was a scene from Austin Powers. I'm not sure which one it was, but basically what Dr. Evil was saying in that scene is, we are not so different, you and I. And that was kind of the realization I had with personal development and product development. Maybe product development and personal development aren't so different because they face similar challenges. And so that had me think, what if we approach personal development in the same way that we do product development? In other words, what if we treated the human being as a product to develop and added agile frameworks to our own life?